right, here we are live with the 1994 Philadelphia roll. Looks like a nice roll to me. I'm going to open it up and see if we might be able to find a double die in here. We have not had the greatest day so far for die varieties. It looks like everything I've purchased of late has been not so friendly. Not friendly sources. Alright, I got one end opened and working on end number 2 here. This is what it looks like. Just use my plastic tool and pry at the paper to pull it open. It doesn't touch or affect the coins at all. It's just picking at paper. I've seen people do that, but they do it with a screwdriver. It's like, really? Serious? You're going to scratch the hell out of those coins. Or that coin. You know, the one on the end that's doing all the suffering. All right, here we go. Coin number 1 goes to Indigenous Treasures. Bethlehem. Everybody has an ofer today, so let's see if we can make a one for. Let me back this out some here. Get us ready for some coin observation. Here we go. For whatever might come from it. 1994. Got 2 nice double die reverses. One of them is very well known. The other one's not quite so well known. It shows doubling mostly in America. It's a class 5. To the trained eye, these things are pretty easy to find, so there shouldn't really be any confusion here. Number 2, Mickey. Let's see what we have. Still looking for doubled ears, looking for doubled mottos. Anything else we happen to run into that looks curious and odd. But it's definitely our 12th column double die and our double die around America on the reverse that we're kind of focusing on here. One of not very many issues on which we generally focus on the reverse, not the obverse. But hey, it has to happen once in a while, right? Everything would be boring if everything was the same. Never expect to find, only hope, and that might be fulfilled. You have a chance. You got a coin. Might as well check it. Nothing there after playing with that one. So we're still going to be ahead of schedule for the day. And don't forget that we've got the reveal show coming up tomorrow. Or not tomorrow. Today's Saturday. Be coming up Monday. So tomorrow I've got a couple more reveals to take care of. This is number 704. We're going to be doing number 700 this evening. That's going to be the 1943S roll. And then we're going to be doing number 705 and 706 Monday, not Sunday. 705 and 706 will come Monday prior to the reveal show time. Reveal show time at 7 p.m. We'll take care of selling the rolls we have prepared for that at 7 p.m. And then on Tuesday, I'll have this big list of RPMs ready for you guys to peruse through and see what you can add to your collections. So I need to ask, is there anyone here who has not yet really started much of an RPM collection and wants to. Somebody who's been kind of waiting in the wings to get started and don't really want to, quote unquote, embarrass themselves by asking questions in the streams. Now would be a good time to ask questions and get answers. It's also a good time to let me know that you are a ripe beginner. Ripe beginner would be somebody who doesn't have any more than maybe 3 or 4 different RPMs from 1960D and would like a package deal to get started. We're definitely looking for that, Coin Junkie. How you doing? Not getting any mail? That's gotta suck. And for the length of time, my lord, are they working on trying to find somebody to replace your Canada Post, or are we just gonna kind of wait it out and see? I don't get news from Canada, so I don't really know exactly what all is going on. I mean, I know that the postal workers went on strike, but that's all I do know. Nothing yet, huh? No decision. Well, sometimes no decision is a good decision for a while. But it certainly detrimentally affects your day, not getting anything from the U.S. or Canada for that matter. Stephen Dallas, good morning to you, sir. Got some pretty nice coins in this 94 roll. Unfortunately, not finding any double dies as of yet. But there's some chance that could change. That is ghost doubling caused by strike over pressure. It's a bit of die wear, actually. That's caused by strike over pressure. Not a double die. Not going to be a double die. Yeah, Joe, didn't you know? Canada's post system is on strike. Nobody's getting mail in Canada. Well, that could be a good thing and a bad thing. You're not getting your bills, but then again, not getting your bills just means that. It's also die wear right there on the 4. Not getting your bills also means that you're going to have to find a different way to receive them and get them paid, because like online or something to that effect. Because those of you who are cutting checks or money orders and paying your bills that way need to come to terms with the 21st century. This one was for Frosty, by the way. So I found myself holding the flip in my hand. That's not very good for you guys to be able to see what's going on with it. So, my apology. All right, next up for Doug Rizak. Let's see what we can find here. Tired of not finding die varieties, but hey, you know what? Perseverance is what wins the race on this. You've really just got to have some stick to it, because, well, if you're going through rolls like I'm going through rolls, you're going to spend some time looking before you find any rewards. I don't have any better secrets than you do regarding how to find the goodies. Sir Egg comes up next. And oh, looky there. That's a chunky little die crack. That goes, well, from just below the W all the way through to the other side of the coin. That is nearly a split die. That's kind of cool. That's a pretty big deal. I like that. That's a nice one. the other side, which for die cracks and such doesn't mean anything. Only on cuds would one side make a difference on the other, because the cud is a chunk of die that's missing off the edge, basically chipped away and fell out. So you got nothing to strike the other side. So in the area where there's a cut on one side, you're going to end up with a blank area on the other side. Remembering, however, that cuds are only breaks off of the edge of the die. Things like, filled B's or filled letters, or big giant warts around the ear or whatever. Those aren't cuds. Those are just die chips. Die chips are where something happens and a piece of the die chips out because of pressure. And it can often be associated with a die crack, but is more commonly just a round little piece, like by errors or die chips. They're not cuds. Cuds are only along the edge of the design, along the outside edge of the design. Pre-cud die break is where you have a die crack that runs from the rim around through the coin somewhere and goes back to the rim. And the pre-cud die break is actually where the die is already broken, but it's being held in place. And there is a shift, like a earthquake fault. There is a shift between one side and the other that separates them linearly in some direction. So in other words, around the fault line, you see where a letter's been stretched out because the fault actually split apart. This is a teaching moment, Dirty Water. Cuds are actually very difficult to find. But we found while I was going through these, we found a die crack that basically went from the top to the bottom of the obverse on one of these coins. And then I got into talking about cuds and die cracks and die chips and stuff like that. It's one of those things I do. I just ramble about stuff because I'm not finding anything in the roll. You might as well be getting some educational content out of the video. Ooh, there's a struck through. That's a pretty nice one. That's struck through. It looks like a fiber, a yarn, or a piece of string. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Nobody that I know of has ever been able to tell me what the letters stand for in cud. I'm assuming that it's an acronym and not that it's a chewable piece like a typical cud is. Because the cuds that we know about as farmers and dirt diggers are where an animal will take a piece of grass or other vegetable and chew and chew and chew on it. It's basically the animal equivalent of chewing gum. Boy, we are at nowhere so far. And that's for the entire day. Most of yesterday evening and all of today, it's like we have found nearly nothing. Now, that is looks like a zinc bubble, but the other 9, the one on top, is actually a die chip. You tell the difference because there is a hard outline on the first 9, and there's not a hard outline on the second 9. So you've got, that's either a zinc blister or it is a die dent. Looks more like a die dent to me. And then the first one is a die chip where the piece is just fallen out of the die. I'm not sure what you're asking, Joe. How come the Simon, the strike through look just fine? You must be using talk to text, because I'm not understanding it. For those of you who have never heard this before and are getting acquainted with my quirks and my ways of doing things, you need to understand that I am what they call on the spectrum. I have a bit of an Asperger's syndrome thing going on, and I am not able to infer certain things. Partial statements like that don't help me at all because I'm unable to process them. The rim doesn't help me. You have to ask me rather complete and rather clear questions, or I can't come up with an answer, because I don't have the ability to infer and pull something together like a lot of other people do. This is the same die again. Still not a double die. Ye gads. Yeah, you unfortunately will have to complete the sentence all together at once instead of splitting it apart into bits. That also happens often with jokes. When people tell a joke or people make a funny, I don't get it because I'm not able to tell whether you're joking or serious about something, and some of the things that are said would be said as a punchline to a joke, and I'm trying to take it seriously and I don't understand it. Okay. On struck through, the rim looked just fine. Is that because of the color? Not necessarily. Given that the struck through doesn't go through the rim area, it does, but because of the pressure and the difference in how the rim is uplifted, it could cause it to look different enough to make it look like it's not being affected. I don't really know for 100% sure, though, what goes on with that, because you guys will have to understand, in the grand scheme of things, when you start talking about die varieties and errors, they are completely different from one another. Die varieties are generally repunch mint marks, double dies, date doubling, mint mark doubling, things like that. Things that generally involve doubling in the design on the coin. And those I'm quite versed with and know quite a bit about. When you start talking about struck throughs, cuds, die cracks, die chips, all that sort of thing, I've got a good general interest and knowledge on that sort of thing, but I don't collect them, nor do I study them. So when you start getting into detail as to why, I can't really tell you much, because I don't know much about why on the errors. Only the parts that make logical sense that I can throw together a logical explanation for are the ones that I can answer. The ones that I have to make it up, I'd rather not make it up. I'd rather just tell you I don't know. It's one of the problems with a lot of these so-called experts these days. They like to try making everything up to make themselves look smart, and I prefer not to do that. I prefer to be honest and let you know, I don't know. Can't help you. I recognize what a struck through looks like. Don't know why they show up the way they do sometimes. It's a little die dent that occurred right at the edge of the design, right above the E and United there. Let's see, what else do we have here? Nothing there of particular interest. Coin number 21 now for Mark. And nothing there. And let's keep going. Looking at the reverse on all of these, just to catch that column in case it shows up. There's actually a couple of different column doubling Actually, I should be looking at the center on these coins too, because the very center could have column doubling right next to Lincoln. That is actually something that happens in this year. So I want to start checking those real closely now. I may have skipped some, not thinking it through. Who wants a free Sherman hair? No, it can't be a Sherman hair. There's absolutely no way that's a Sherman hair. It just came out. You just watch me take it out of a roll. There's no way a Sherman hair could have gotten onto it. I slow down just a little bit on these reverses to make sure that I'm not skipping anything. Joe, I don't spend a lot of time on Discord, and in fact, you can probably go for a full week without hearing anything from me on Discord because I don't keep it open. It's not a very common thing. What vintage, Dan? What year? Thurman Munson. Thurman Munson. He was the one that was he was killed, wasn't he, in a crash? Yeah, plane crash. 1970s, you don't know which specific card. I've got pictures of the cards in my brain. I can pull them up and tell you what position he was in when the photo was taken on some of those. Whether he was wearing gray or pinstripe. He was a Yankee. Rather clean looking coin right here. It's a beaut. She's a beaut, Clark. Oy vey. Chucky making a funny. Won it from Blue Ridge Silverhound. Oh, you don't know cards? Oh, okay. Well, that kind of makes sense as to why you don't know specifically which year it was. One of my favorites for Thurman Munson was his 1981 card. His 1981 Topps card. No, not 81, 79. 79, 81, I sometimes get them confused. But his 1979 card, he's kind of looking over his shoulder, and he's got this gritty look about him like, what are you talking about? It's just, you can see attitude just in his facial expression. It's really cool. I think his only cards where he did not have that funny mutton chop mustache was I think up to 72. 72, I think 73 he's wearing a mask. 74, because you can't tell he's wearing his catcher's mask. But then 74, he has this big mutton chop mustache that lasted the rest of his life. Just cool stuff. I used to be very heavily into baseball cards, and that's why I know this stuff. Most of the cards in the 70s I have had a quite intimate relationship with over the years. I have owned millions of them. Unopened Piedmont packs. No, I didn't know anything about that. Where did they have T206 cards in them? Awesome, man. If you've got a link to that, I'd like to see that. I'd like to look at that and read about it. Extra, extra, read all about it. Planchet striations, these little things right here, are a natural part of making the planchets and the end result of the planchets. I got two things to show you here, so be patient with me. This up here is planchet striation. This is all stuff that shows that your coin was not extremely well struck, because this was on the planchet before it was made into a coin, and that it's still showing up just means that it wasn't struck out of the coin. Now, this down here is not the same thing. This down here you can see cuts into the design, but you can also see that there's no displacement, which means that this happened on the planchet prior to the strike, and that was some sort of a cut into the planchet. So we've got some interesting little things going on with this coin. Nothing valuable, but something interesting to help us understand the process by which coins are made. And still looking. Still looking. Not found a thing yet. 25,000 packs. How many packs were found, do you know? I've seen unopened packs of smokes that old, but I don't think they fetch that kind of money. 25,000 a pack. Well, I guess if you think there is any chance that you could find the old Honus Wagner card in there, you've got a card that would be worth millions and millions of dollars. You know, if you had 10 packs, you could guarantee one of them had the Honus Wagner in it, and charging 25 grand a pack, I'd find a way to get one. I'm that kind of a gambler. 13 unopened, 11 partially opened. Wow. Well, that just paid for somebody's house and college and a couple of cars and all that good stuff. So moving on to Mark here, see what we can find from Mark. I only got one that had the big die crack running all the way through the obverse. It's a little bit on the unusual side, but could be that that die just exploded and they replaced it while this lot of coins was being made. Now remember, these don't go into wrappers as soon as they're made. Coins from this generation are made by the million, bagged by the 5,000, sent off to someplace else. Hey, look at the die cracks on that. Big old hornet's nest forming there. And then they are wrapped by a wrapping service or a bank by the 50s. So there could be coins from 10 to 15 different dies inside of a single roll, because you had a large mixture of coins in the big bin at the mint waiting to be bagged. And they get all mixed up and you end up with a bunch of different coins in your bag. Could also have a case where you're on a slow operation day and they're only running 2 out of the 4 presses and nothing else left in the bin. They pour all these in and you get rolls that literally contain 2 different dies in them. The columns trick you every time. Must be a lighting issue, because the columns are pretty easy to identify as columns. What the hard part is with the columns is actually pulling them apart die to die and being able to identify exactly which one they are, because, well, we're still in an era where probably less than 20% of those are actually listed anywhere. So a number of the ones people are finding are still unlisted. Number 31. What's going on the forehead? Die crack or a shadow? I didn't see anything. Number 31. Coin 31 coming up right here. We're going to take another look at it. I'm going to refocus so that I don't have to pull it out of the plastic. And we will take a look at the forehead. Where did I go? Here. Oh, that. I think that's a hit on the coin. Wouldn't be a die crack because it's sunken into the coin. Yeah, so that's what that is. Move on to coin number 33 now for Wanda. I have to refocus. There we go. Not pulling anything out of there. Let's check the reverse. See what we come up with. Nothing. Just found yesterday, day before yesterday, a bag of literally thousands of coins, maybe 2,000, 2,500 coins in tubes that a friend of mine found years ago and passed to me because he had nothing. No, that wasn't a hit. That was part of the design. Just got it. Part of the brow. That was part of the brow, bruh. Yeah, but literally thousands of coins in tubes, filled tubes, and all of them are doubled columns. That would be somewhere up here in the central region. There's doubling of one of the columns somewhere. And they were collected and put together by a collector who liked to hunt for them and found a shit ton of them. Let's see. What else do we have? You talking about like this kind of a black line, right? Like this right up here? That's just kind of a little ridge line between the forehead and the field. Here we go. Coin number 36. Still got nothing. I got a U-turn. Coin number 37. Let's see what's on 37 for Eric. For good old Eric Breyer. That brings back memories. Now on to number 38. I guess I am meant not to find die varieties today. Oh, it was number 38. Now number 39. 39. What do we have? Coin number 39. Are you going to bring us a goodie? We're looking for a goodie. Just a little bit of hope and humanity in the world that we can open so many rolls and find absolutely nothing. Have you no grace? Have you no feelings for our poor little hearts? Oh, the humanity of it all. It's this magnificent catastrophe unfolding right before our eyes. I'll find that coin again. There it is. Someone check the ear area. The area. Area around the ear. Wasn't exactly sure what was going on, so I wanted to see it for sure. All on my own. Not Naya. This is about the largest scale catastrophe I've had in quite some time. Maybe it's because I'm generally choosing little buckets to fish out of, like mint-marked rolls of wheat cents. It's generally not hard to find a little minor RPM or maybe even a little minor double die in a roll like that. Then you move to these mass-produced memorials. You know, your chance of finding 1956D RPM number 1 and 56D rolls is probably 10 times greater than finding the 94 double die reverse in these rolls, simply because there were 10 times the number of coins made in 1994, and by more solid comma flat dies that store and move well. So should we happen to find anything at all, we should count ourselves extremely lucky. Because as we speak of normal events, it's definitely not normal to find die varieties. It's wished upon. If you wish upon a star. If you wish upon a coin. That should be our new theory, our new theme, our new catch song. If you wish upon a coin. There's no telling. Loin is the only thing I can think of that rhymes with that. Coin? What rhymes with coin other than loin? Anyone? 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 Bueller? 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 Yeah, same here. I got nada. If you wish upon a coin while eating your sirloin. You shall see what awaits in all these different dates. Ah, the poet I am. Loin. While eating your pork loin. That's even better than sirloin. It sounds more fun. Pork loin. Something that back in the day, sirloins were expensive and pork loins were cheap. Well, pennies are your cheapest coin by face value. So you have to think on the cheap side of things. You know, while you eating your beans and muffins, you guys to be talking about finding some good stuff in your rolls. You don't have rolls of quarters because anyone who can afford rolls of quarters can really eat good. But with us, that's part of why I'm in this hobby, because it was cheap. It was easy to get. You had 50 coins for 50 cents instead of 2 coins for 50 cents. 50 cents. That was easy. Talked my dad out of his jar of pennies. I could never get his quarters. Heck, that was back when 2 quarters would buy you a pack of cigarettes. And now, the rest of the story. And now, you've heard the rest of the story. Gender mutraloin. because it refers to men. Sirloin. Yeah, right? Huh? Do you have any madam loin to go with that? Huh? Of course, if you consider it, called it Miss Loin or Girloin, they would think that you were somehow fitting in a way to be sexual about everything. Yeah, like 10 coins for 50 cents. 10 coins for 50 cents makes you Joe Nickel. The Nickolator. You gonna argue with me? I'll get another roll of nickels. Put it in a sock. And I'll beat the fire out of you. What you gonna do with that bag of nickels there? Yep. Mm-hmm. I aim to kill you with it. Mm-hmm. Now you just put those nickels on the floor. You set them down, you back away from them. Watch me the whole time. Go on now. Lady loin. There you go. She's my lady loin. I'm her wild card man. Well, you talking about what kind of nickels are you talking about? You talking about Jefferson nickels or just nickels in general or Buffalo nickels or what? Because I kind of like Buffalo nickels, but for Jefferson nickels I have a special affinity. I hate them. The dies wear out so quickly and you can't really even tell what's on the coin as far as minor RPMs, things like that. Double dies don't show up well. They did a really good job of being able to cover that up with design. That's right. I'm talking about nickels. Nickels. Oh, folks, we've been through another roll and through another roll. We've been through nothing. I don't necessarily apologize for this, but I am sorry that it happened this way. In the same way that you're sorry somebody died. It's not your fault. It just happened, and it's not a fun thing. But hopefully looking through the role itself and having the chit-chat and the conversation and the time for camaraderie was a good thing, even though the role was a dud. But I am going to be back at around 7 p.m. this evening for the other reveal for today. Going to be reveal number 700. That's a 1943 S roll. Got it right here. Dum 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 dum. There it is. There. That's it. Right there. Number 700. 1943 S. Plastic tube roll. Never been through it. So I appreciate it, folks. I'm going to see you down the road at the next reveal, 7 p.m. today. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.